The candles burned steadily, their soft glow illuminating Jungkook's tear-streaked face. Taehyung held him close, his strong arms wrapped protectively around the younger man. It was a quiet moment, but one heavy with emotion as Jungkook tried to steady his breathing. "I don't deserve this," Jungkook murmured, his voice trembling. "I've made so many mistakes. I brought chaos into your life." Taehyung frowned, pulling back slightly so he could look into Jungkook's eyes. "Don't say that," he said firmly, his deep voice laced with both tenderness and authority. "You're not responsible for the chaos, Jungkook. I chose this life long before I met you, and I don't regret a single moment of it because it brought me to you." Jungkook sniffled, wiping his cheek with the back of his hand. "But sometimes I feel like I'm holding you back. Like I'm not strong enough to be part of your world." Taehyung cupped Jungkook's face, his thumbs gently brushing away the remaining tears. "You're not holding me back. You're the reason I keep moving forward. Before you, my world was cold and empty. All I had was power, but no purpose. Then you came into my life, and suddenly, I had something worth protecting." Jungkook bit his lip, his emotions threatening to overwhelm him. "You make it sound so easy, Taehyung. But how do you stay so strong? How do you keep loving me even when I feel like I'm breaking apart?" Taehyung let out a soft sigh, his expression softening further. He took Jungkook's hand and placed it over his heart. "Do you feel that?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Jungkook nodded, his palm resting against the steady rhythm of Taehyung's heartbeat. "That's you," Taehyung said. "Every beat of my heart belongs to you. And when you feel like you're breaking, I'll be here to hold you together." That's what love is, Jungkook. It's not about being perfect or strong all the time. It's about being there for each other, even in the moments when everything feels like it's falling apart. Jungkook's lips trembled as fresh tears spilled over. "You always know what to say," he whispered. Taehyung leaned down, pressing a lingering to Jungkook's forehead. "That's because I mean every word. You've taught me how to love, Jungkook. You taught me how to see the light in a world that's full of shadows. If anything, I should be thanking you." Jungkook shook his head, his hands gripping Taehyung's shirt tightly. "I don't want you to carry everything by yourself, Taehyung. I want to be strong for you, too." Taehyung smiled, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "You're already strong, Jungkook. Stronger than you think. It takes courage to love someone like me, to stand by me despite everything. And that courage, that's what keeps me going." For a moment, they simply held each other, their hearts beating in sync. The quiet hum of the night surrounded them, the world outside forgotten. Jungkook pulled back slightly, his tear-streaked face glowing softly in the candlelight. "I promise," he said, his voice steady despite the lump in his throat. "I'll never stop fighting for us. For you." Taehyung's lips curved into a gentle smile, his eyes filled with a love so deep it made Jungkook's heart ache. "And I'll never stop protecting you. Always, Jungkook. Always." They leaned into each other, their foreheads touching as they shared a moment of quiet intimacy. The world might be chaotic, but in each other's arms, they found a sanctuary, a place where love, no matter how imperfect, was enough to mend even the most broken pieces. The weight of the past few days still lingered between them, but Taehyung decided it was time to break the tension. He had always been a man of action, and tonight would be no different. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Taehyung guided Jungkook to the private garden behind their mansion. The night air was cool, the scent of jasmine and roses wafting around them. Twinkling fairy lights hung from the trees, casting a warm glow over the setup Taehyung had arranged. A cozy blanket was spread across the grass, surrounded by flickering candles. A bottle of wine sat in an ice bucket, accompanied by a tray of Jungkook's favorite desserts. Jungkook's eyes widened as he took in the sight. What is all this?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Taehyung stepped closer, his hands slipping around Jungkook's waist. "It's an apology," he murmured, his deep voice tinged with softness. "For the darkness I brought into your life. For the things you've had to endure because of me." Jungkook's lips parted, his blue eyes searching Taehyung's face. "You don't have to do this, Taehyung. I love you, no matter what." "I know," Taehyung said, his thumb brushing gently along Jungkook's jawline. "But you deserve moments like this, moments where you feel nothing but love and warmth." Jungkook's cheeks flushed, and he allowed Taehyung to guide him to the blanket. They sat close, the candles casting flickering shadows across their faces. "Wine?" Taehyung asked, pouring a glass and handing it to Jungkook. Jungkook nodded, his fingers brushing against Taehyung's as he took the glass. "Thank you," he said softly. Taehyung poured a glass for himself before leaning back on one hand, watching Jungkook sip the wine. The younger man's cheeks were already tinged pink, whether from the wine or the intimacy of the moment. Taehyung wasn't sure. "You're beautiful," Taehyung said suddenly, his voice quiet but firm. Jungkook nearly choked on his wine, his wide eyes darting to Taehyung. But Taehyung chuckled, setting his glass aside. He leaned closer, his gaze locking onto Jungkook's. "You're beautiful, Jungkook. Inside and out. And I don't say it enough." Jungkook's heart raced as Taehyung's fingers traced along his cheek, his touch feather-light. "You don't have to say it," he whispered. "I feel it every time you look at me." Taehyung's lips curled into a soft smile. "Then let me show you tonight." Before Jungkook could respond, Taehyung leaned in, capturing his lips in a slow, tender. Jungkook melted into him, his hands clutching at Taehyung's shirt as the older man deepened the Taehyung shifted, gliding Jungkook onto his back as he hovered above him. The candles around them flickered, their soft light illuminating the way Taehyung's eyes sparkled with affection. "Taehyung," Jungkook breathed, his voice trembling with emotion. Taehyung smiled, brushing a strand of hair from Jungkook's face. "I love you," he murmured, his words heavy with sincerity. "I love every part of you, Jungkook. And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you know that." Jungkook's eyes welled up with tears, but he smiled, pulling Taehyung down into another. This one was sweeter, more languid, as if they had all the time in the world. The night stretched on, filled with whispered confessions, soft laughter, and gentle touches. Beneath the stars and surrounded by the warmth of Taehyung's love, Jungkook felt a peace he hadn't felt in weeks. As the candles burned low and the chill of the night deepened, Taehyung wrapped the blanket around them both, pulling Jungkook close. "Thank you for this," Jungkook whispered, resting his head against Taehyung's chest. Taehyung pressed Jungkook's hair, his arms tightening around him. "Thank you for staying by my side," he replied. "You're my light, Jungkook. I'll never let the darkness touch you again." And under the blanket of stars, their hearts beat in perfect harmony, a silent promise of love and devotion binding them together.